Good day, ladies and gents, and welcome back to Stoorman Maths. Today we are going to have a look at some definitions and some rules about algebra, because remember now we are using placeholders, we are using letters in the place of numbers, alright? And these placeholders, these letters, denote some kind of unknown number that I don't know yet, alright? Just like we said in my previous video, alright? And because now we are using letters, some of the rules change, okay? And today we are going to have a look at some of the definitions so that when I explain some mathematical concepts to you, you know what I'm talking about, alright? And I don't have to explain everything over and over and over again, alright? And then rules. And in particular today we are going to have a look at some multiplication rules for algebra. This video, together with my previous video on the introduction to algebra, are very important. These videos form the foundations for your algebra knowledge. Okay, they are very important. You are going to use all of these concepts, these rules, these definitions. You are going to use all of them up until the end of your schooling career, and quite possibly even then after that. All right, if you decide to continue your studies in, I don't know, engineering or maths or computer science or the sciences or anything like that. Okay, so take heed, listen very carefully. All right, grab yourself a pen and a piece of paper. And maybe a cup of coffee or a glass of water or a cool drink, whatever you like, and let's dive into it and go and have a look at these definitions and rules. Okay, so I'm going to start you off with something that looks like this. We have y is equal to, let's have 3x squared plus 7x minus 10. All right, now like I said in my previous video, remember now the letters, the x's and the y, they are placeholders for unknown values. All right, values that I don't know yet, okay, but I want to use them in some kind of function like I have here. So I know the function, but I don't know the values yet, and I want to keep on doing some mathematics. I don't want to stop and to have to wait for that value to become known to me at some point in time. All right, I want to continue working. So we use the letters to indicate unknown values. Now, like I said in my previous video also, when we use function notation, all right, remember we've got some kind of calculation, all right? There may be more than, some kind of a calculation, all right? And there's an x in it somewhere. There's an unknown in it somewhere, all right? And this is exactly what we have here. We've got some kind of calculation with an unknown variable or an unknown placeholder x in some way, shape or form, all right? There may be more than one. It may be to the power of something, okay? Doesn't matter, but it's in there somewhere. Okay. So now let's go and have a look at some of the definitions. The first definition I want to show you is an equation. All right, now you might have heard the word equation many times, all right, a mathematical equation. But what does it mean? What does mathematical equation mean? So let's have a look at this equal sign here. That's the important thing. When we have a mathematical equation, what we are actually doing is we are comparing, let's call this the left-hand side, and we'll call this the right-hand side. All right, so what I'm saying is left of the equation and right of the equation, okay? And what we are doing is we are comparing the left-hand side with the right-hand side. All right, that's what we are doing in an equation. And you'll know it's an equation because there's an equal sign. If you see the equal sign, then you can think to yourself, this is a mathematical equation, and we are comparing a left-hand side with a right-hand side. Now let's have something that's very quick and very easy. Let's have something like this, 2 plus 3. All right, 2 plus 3 is of course equal to 5. Okay, so now when we take the left-hand side and we take the right-hand side, we see that 2 and 3, if we add these two together, we get a 5. And what's on the right-hand side of my equation? There's a 5. So I know the left-hand side and the right-hand side, they are equal to each other. If I've got something like this, 2 plus 3 is equal to 4 plus 1, and now I can compare and evaluate the left-hand side and the right-hand side again. So we have on the left hand side 2 plus 3, and we know that's 5. And on the right hand side we've got 4 plus 1, and that's also 5. So in this case, when we compare the left hand side and the right hand side with each other, we can see that they are indeed equal to each other. If we had something like this, 2 plus 3, and this is on the left hand side of my equation, and on the right hand side I've got 4. Is this the truth? Alright? No, it cannot be true. The left hand side is 5. We see 2 plus 3 is 5. But the right hand side is 4. So we cannot say the left hand side and the right hand side are equal to each other. Okay, we've evaluated both sides, we've compared them to each other, and we see that the one side is not equal to the other side. Alright, so that's what an equation is. Every time you see an equal sign, alright, in some kind of function or in some kind of mathematical, like a sum, like a calculation, if you see an equal sign, you can think to yourself that that's an equation. Alright, the next definition we need to talk about is an expression. Okay, and an expression is easy to understand. An expression is a calculation with no equal sign. There's no equal sign. So in this case it will only be 3x squared plus 7x minus 10. That's it. I'm just saying 3x squared plus 7x minus 10. I'm only expressing myself with this calculation. That's it. I'm not comparing it to anything, alright? I'm not evaluating a left or a right hand side, nothing. I'm just giving you a mathematical expression. Alright, some kind of calculation, but there's no equal sign in it. Okay, that's an expression. So if you don't see an equal sign, okay, no equal sign, then you know it's a mathematical expression. Okay, let's move on to the next one. The next important, very important definition that we need to understand and we need to take heed of is what we call a term. Alright, now what's a term? What is a mathematical term? I'll explain it to you like this. This here is one term. Okay? This is another term, and this one here is another term. Okay, so in a mathematical expression or in an equation, the terms are separated by either pluses or minuses. Alright, your terms are separated by the signs, alright, either a plus or a minus. Not multiplication and not division. Alright, only a plus and only a minus. And so we can see that in this expression here, alright, in this expression there are 3 terms. 1, 2, and 3 terms. I've got 3 terms. And when I write out these 3 terms one by one, I've got the following. 3x squared, that's my first term. But now remember, the sign is important. So when you are evaluating terms or when you're having a look at terms, by themselves, the sign is important. So we actually have here, with the first term, we've got a positive 3x squared. Okay, a positive 3x squared. But normally we don't write positive or plus 3x squared, alright? If I say to you, or if I give you 3x squared, that automatically means that it's positive. Unless I wanted it to be negative, then I would have written down negative 3x to the power of 2. Alright, but if there's nothing there, then automatically it is positive. And you can think of it as a positive 3 squared. That's the first term. Now remember, the sign is important. So can you tell me what the next term is? Yes, the next one is positive or plus 7x. Okay, remember, very important, I'll say it again, that the sign is very important when you are looking at terms. Okay, and our third term is of course then negative 10 or minus 10. Those are the 3 terms in my expression. Okay, I'll say again, terms are separated by a plus or by a minus. Not multiplication, not division, by a plus or a minus. Now have a look at this. If we take a look at the second term here, we see it's a plus 7x. So what we actually have here is 7 times x. Okay, 7 times x. Now, like I said in my previous video, our usual convention when we write mathematics is to write the number first and then the letter. And when we write the number and the letter together, like 7x, what we are actually saying is 7 times x. 7 times x. But we don't have to put the time sign or the multiplication sign in there, because if I write 7x, that automatically means 7 times x. Okay, I can leave it just like that. And notice now that the term is not separated by a multiplication. I cannot say one of the terms is a plus 7 and another one is the x. Doesn't work like that. No, be very careful. The terms are separated by a plus or a minus. Okay, now let's move on. Our next definition is what we call a coefficient. Alright, now coefficient is easy to remember, even if the word is a difficult word to pronounce. The 3 here in front of this x squared, that 3 is the coefficient of x squared. The 7, or in this case the plus 7 or the positive 7, remember that sign, that 7 is the coefficient of the x. Okay, can you see? It's easy to remember. So the coefficient is just the number that is in front of the letter. That 7 there, that's the coefficient. Okay, so yeah, in simple terms, if you want to remember it in very simple terms, that's just the number that comes in front of the letter. Okay, that's the coefficient. Easy peasy. The next two definitions will be already familiar to you. That is the exponent and the base. Okay, so this I trust has already been covered maybe in grade 9 or some of your earlier grades, earlier years. Okay, easy to know, easy to remember. In this case here, the squared to the power of 2, that is the exponent, and the number that we are raising to the power, all right, that number or that unknown, that is the base. Okay, so if I've got something like this, 2 to the power of 3, that 3, that's the exponent, or you can say the power, and this 2 here, this is the base. Okay, easy peasy, you already know this one. Okay, and then two final definitions. The first one is a constant. Okay, and a constant is exactly as the name suggests. It's something that remains constant, that can never change. In this expression, only the negative 10 is constant. And why is it constant? Because the value of negative 10 can never change. It can only be negative 10 in this expression always. Okay. Negative 10 cannot suddenly change into 11 or 12 or negative 50 or anything like that. In this expression, negative 10 stays negative 10, so it stays constant. Okay. And I refer to it as the constant. If we go and have a look at this term again, the plus 7x, can you see that I'm multiplying the 7 with an unknown placeholder? A placeholder, a letter, the letter x, that I don't know the value of yet. So it can change, okay? The x here, the placeholder, remember, can take on any value. It can take on any value. It can be 1, 5, 5 million, 2, 12, negative 23, it doesn't matter. It can be any value. And because it can be any value, this term here is not constant. It's not constant. It is, and this is the next definition, it is variable. It is variable. Okay. So the placeholders, the letters, from here on, we are going to refer to them as variables. Okay. So if I say the variable this or the variable that, what I'm actually saying is the letters, the placeholders. Okay, so I'm not going to refer to them as placeholders from here on out anymore. I'm going to call them variables. Sometimes I might say unknowns, okay? But as you watch more and more of my videos, you'll come to know that when I say an unknown, or I say a variable, or even if I say an unknown variable, that's going to be the letter X or Y or any other letter of the alphabet. It doesn't matter. Those are the placeholders. And remember again now, the placeholders are for values that we do not know yet, and therefore they can be any value. They can be any value, so they can vary. They are thus variables. All right, so these are our definitions for algebra. So if I use any of them, equation, expression, or a term, or coefficient, or variable, or constant value, anything like that, all right, you should know these, you should learn them, all right? And then when I mention any of these in my videos or in class or any other place, you will know what I'm referring to, all right? And I don't have to go back and explain all of them all the time. All right, now let's move on and let's go and have a look at some of our rules. Now the rules I have broken down into 3 parts. The first part, the one that we are going to have a look at today, I call these multiplication rules. Multiplication rules. All right, and as the name suggests, it's going to be rules, okay, that has to do with when we multiply variables, when we multiply unknowns or letters with each other or with numbers or anything like that. Okay, the second set of rules I call the sum rules. All right, now the sum rules has to do with when you have variables or unknowns, okay, and let's say for now placeholder, I said I won't mention it again, but just one last time, okay, when we have variables that we want to plus or minus, okay, and there are some rules, very important rules, that we have to have a look at that one again. The sum rules will be in the next video after this one, and the final one is we've got some division rules. All right, now division rules, that's somewhat tricky. All right, so when we get to that video of division rules, you have to pay careful attention to that one. All right, it can become quite tough if you don't pay attention, all right, and you don't follow along with me, and I will make a whole video by itself on division rules. But for today, we are only going to have a look at our multiplication rules. All right, we'll start it off very, very easy, and you'll see, all right, very easy, and step by step will increase the difficulty, all right, until we get to the rule, or where you understand what the rule means or what it is. All right, now let's start, like I said, very easy. Let's go ahead and have a look at this. What is 2 times 3? All right, easy, we know this is 6. All right, but what we actually have here is the number 2, but I've got it 3 times. All right, this is now like I'm taking you back to 2nd grade mathematics, okay? So when I have 2 times 3, that means I've got a 2 and a 2 and a 2. So I've got 3 2's, all right? And that answer is obviously then 6. Now let's, for instance, let's say that I've got a mathematical calculation, all right? And I don't know what one of the values are. One of the values is unknown to me. And so to be able to do my calculation, I'm going to replace, or not replace, I'm going to use a placeholder. I'm going to use a variable to indicate this unknown number. And let's say, for instance, I don't know that the 2 should have been a 2. So what I do is I now have x times 3. All right, x being this unknown variable, this unknown number, all right, the number that I don't know yet, but I'm using a placeholder for. Now what happens when I've got x multiplied by 3? The same thing happens when I had a 2. So I've got, look at this, an x and another x and another x. All right, so let's have a look at this. The first case, I had a 2 and a 2 and a 2. I had 3 of them, and together they made 6. So now I've got an x and an x and an x. And how many x's do I have? I've got 3 x's. All right, so it's like having 1 x and I'm multiplying that 1x by 3, and then I've got 3x's. Can you see? All right? Think of it like this. If I had one apple and I multiplied that apple by 3, how many apples do I have? I've got 3 apples. Okay, can you see? Don't forget now. So if I had something like 7 times x, that would be, of course, now I have 7 x's. Nee, I've got 1 apple and now I've got 7 apples. All right, so that would be 7 x's. Okay, 7 x's. All right, so this is the first rule to remember. When I'm multiplying a variable or a placeholder, when I'm multiplying that by something, okay, then I've got 7 apples, 3 apples, okay. So use that apples analogy to remember this one. All right, so now let's go ahead and spice it up a little bit. I'll give you the following. What is 3 times 3? Again, very, very easy. 3 times 3 is, of course, 9, all right? But remember your exponent laws now, your exponent laws from the previous years. 3 times 3 is the same as 3 squared, and that's the same as 9. All right, so 3 times 3 is 3 squared, and that's the same as 9. So now let's assume that I forgot they should have been 3's. All right, I forget that and I forget that, and I don't know which numbers to use, and so I'm going to use placeholders, I'm going to use letters, all right? I'm going to use an unknown variable, and I'm going to choose an x. All right, but now here's the thing. I know this number and this number must be the same numbers. All right, 3, and it must be a 3 again. So I must use the same placeholder now. Can you see? I must use the same placeholder. So if I say the x is a number that's unknown to me, and I want to multiply it by that same unknown number, I must use the same letter. So I must use an x again. And now the same rule applies, okay? If I've got 2 numbers, or even if I have 2 unknown numbers, and they are the same, it's going to be the same as x squared. Okay, can you see what's happening here? Now, if you were to take your exponent laws and you were to apply them to this problem, have a look at this. We've got a multiplication, all right? We've got a multiplication calculation, and then I've got 2 bases that are the same. And remember now, each one of these is to the power of 1. But we don't have to write anything to the power of 1, because if you take something to the power of 1, it's the same thing. All right, it remains the same thing. So we don't have to write the power of 1 there. But now, if we wanted to, all right, for the sake of this calculation, it would now be x to the power of 1 plus 1. Why? Because we are applying our exponent law now. If we have a multiplication sum, and we have 2 bases that are the same, then we can add the exponents, we can add the powers together, and that's going to give us the same as x squared. Okay, are you with me? Easy peasy. So just a quick summary of where we are at this point. We've got something like 5 times x, and this is the same as if I have 1x and I multiply it by 5, then how many x's do I have? I've got 5 of them, 5 x's. But if I have something like x times x, all right, now I have a multiplication calculation with the same basis, okay, and now I have to apply my power laws, and this becomes x squared, and x multiplied by the same x is going to be x squared. If I had x times x times x, what would this one be? Yes, you guessed correctly, right? That would be x to the power of 3. Okay, now let's have something a little bit different. What about x times y? What happens to this? All right, is it a case where I've got 1x and I multiply it by 3 and now I've got 3 x's? Okay, no, it's not a case like that. It's nothing like that. Okay. Can I apply some power law here, some of my exponent laws? Well, let's go and have a look. I do have a multiplication calculation, but I don't have the same basis. I don't. So a power law or an exponent law does not, I cannot use them here because I've got different bases. So what do I do in this case? All right, there is nothing else for you to do than to leave it in this form xy. And xy, if I give you that, if I write xy, you automatically understand it means x times y. All right, so if I give you something like this, xy, it means x times y, just like we have it here. Okay, so these are the first of your multiplication rules. Now, let's go ahead and spice it up even more. What do we get when we have 3 times x to the power of 3? What happens with that one? What do we do in this case? Do you know? All right. Now, let's have a look at it like this. In this instance, where I had x times 3, I said I have got 1x, and then multiplied by 3, so I've got then 2 and 3 x's, and it gives me 3x. Now we use the same kind of thinking, but what we say now is I've got an x to the power of 3, and I multiply that by 3, so how many x to the power of 3's do I have? So I have now 3x to the power of 3's. Okay, so this x to the power of 3, you take that as a whole, and that's why I'm saying think of it like I've got 1 apple and I multiply by 3, so I've got 3 apples. In this case we can say I've got 1 pineapple and I multiply by 3, and now I have 3 pineapples, and x to the power of 3 in this case is now my pineapple. Okay, so you have to remember that, that's very important. So what I have here is x to the power of 3 and another x to the power of 3 and another x to the power of 3, and so I've got 3 of them, 3x to the power of 3's. Okay, so if you forget or if you don't understand it quite that well, think of it as apples or pineapples, or you can think of something else like, I don't know, maybe chocolate bars, maybe you've got 3 Snickerses and I don't know, 2 Crunchies or whatever you want to use, all right? But think of that x to the power of 3 as a whole thing, or one thing on its own. Okay, so now let's say I've got, let's go on to the next one. Let's say I've got x squared times x to the power of 3. All right, what happens here? All right, nothing much. It's again a multiplication calculation, and my bases are the same, so a power law applies. Which one? I can just add the powers together. So this becomes x to the power of 2 plus 3, and that's going to be x to the power of 5. Okay, so it's the same, this one and this one, that's the same. That's basically the same. And if I have something like this, x squared times y to the power of 3, what happens with this? Well, again, it's a multiplication calculation, but the bases are not the same, so no power laws apply. So I simply leave it as x squared y to the power of 3. And if I write it like that, if I give it to you like that, it means x to the power of 2 times y to the power of 3. Okay, one more example, and then we'll end for today. What do I get when I have 3x squared multiplied by 6x to the power of 5? What do I get then? All right, now this rule is relatively easy. When I multiply algebra or algebraic terms, when I multiply them with each other, I just simply multiply the numbers and I multiply the letters. I multiply the numbers and I multiply the letters. So in this case we will have 3 times 6, which is 18, and we have x to the power of 2 multiplied by x to the power of 5. It's similar to this. So I have x to the power of 2 plus 5, so I have x to the power of 7. Okay, does it make sense to you? When I'm multiplying terms, all right, I simply multiply the numbers and I multiply the letters. Easy peasy. What do I get when I have 3x squared multiplied by 5xy multiplied by x to the power of 3? What do I get now? Okay, let's see. We notice that it's a multiplication calculation and there are different terms, alright? Well, terms is not really the right word, because just now I said terms are separated by pluses and minuses, alright? So if you pick that up, good for you. I made a mistake there and I do apologize for it. We don't have terms here, alright? But I just said terms because there's 3 different parts that we multiply together. But remember now, in a multiplication calculation, what we do is we multiply the numbers and we multiply the letters. So let's see what numbers we have here. We've got 3 multiplied by 5 multiplied by 1. Alright, if there's nothing in front of the letter, it means there's a 1 in front of it. And because 1 times anything, 1 times whatever, it's still the same number. 1 times 5 remains 5. So 1 times x to the power of 3 is simply x to the power of 3. So I've got 3 times 5 times 1, and that is 15. And now I've got x to the power of 2 multiplied by this x here. So I'm going to have, okay, remember this x here, that's to the power of 1. So I'm going to have x to the power of 2 plus 1, which is 3. And then I also have this x here, and that's to the power of 3. So I've got x to the power of 2 plus 1 plus 3. And finally, I've got a y. I've got one y left. So the y comes on at the end. So this is then 15x to the power of 6y. 15x to the power of 6 times y. Alright, ladies and gents, thank you very much for bearing with me. This has been a little bit of a longish video, so thank you very much for bearing with me. I hope the multiplication rules of algebra make more sense to you. Alright, if you don't understand quite yet, rewind the video and go and have a look at it again. And then of course, like we said, like we had at the very beginning of this video, learn those definitions as well, so that when you and I, when we talk maths in maths language with each other, then we know what we are saying, alright, and we don't have to backtrack and explain things to each other. I hope the rest of your day turns out very well, and then I'll see all of you in my next video. Remember to like and subscribe. Thank you very much. Keep well. Bye-bye.